Lowered my chair.
Those nasty planning commission meetings. Bet you Kathy quit.
Good evening. Welcome to the October 22nd meeting of the Millbrae City Council. If you're expecting a different meeting, you're in the wrong place. Roll call, please.
All council members are present.
Okay, so can we ask Millbrae Education Foundation lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I know I threw that at you. And speaking of Millbrae Education Foundation, if we have Mara Shea and Joy Henry, right? Would you like to come up and give us a briefing? That'd be appreciated.
Thank you very much for inviting us here today. My name is Maura LeBaron-Shea, and I'm the current president of the Millbrae Education Foundation Board, and I'm joined here by Joy Pasamonte Henry, who is our VP Communications, to give you an update on Millbrae Education Foundation, our fundraising progress, who we are, what we do, and what we're planning to do next. So some background for folks who are not as familiar with MEF. Millbrae Education Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded in 2007. We are entirely volunteer run, and we have parents from each Millbrae school campus involved in our work. We raise funding to benefit all 2,300 plus students in the Millbrae School District, hiring teachers and paying for programs that are implemented at every one of the 5 school sites. And the way we do that is we partner with individuals, including families who have their students at our schools, as well as parent-teacher organizations, local businesses, civic organizations, and other education supporters in our larger Millbrae community. The idea is that we want to increase funding available in our schools so that every student in our district has a chance to reach their very highest potential. Our dollars that we raise support well-rounded programming in the school district, and the fantastic news is that in 2018-2019, MEF raised $591,000 for the schools, which is, thanks to many of the folks in this room actually, the highest that we've ever been able to raise for the school district. So we're very proud of that. We're not satisfied because we are trying to raise ever-increasing funding to support our schools, and I'll get to the reasons for that in just a moment. But to give you a little picture of what we fund, our dollars go to fund 4 main curriculum areas: social emotional learning, so that includes hiring counselors and some other programmatic expenses, as well as the elementary music program at all 4 elementary schools, and science and technology coaches who work throughout the elementary and middle school levels, as well as tech electives at the middle school level. So our dollars really do touch every single student in the district, and that's another thing that I think is worth emphasizing and something that I'm very proud of. We do get questions from families and from others about why the foundation is necessary. And so I put this slide in because it's one that we share with all of the families who have students in Millbrae School District, because it really gives a picture to why supporting the foundation matters for families in the district and even for others in our community who are interested in helping to do things like keep property values high. So as you look at this image, you can see that Millbrae, which is in the purple box at the bottom, even though we have additional dollars in through the parcel tax, and we also have increased the amount of funding that comes in through the foundation in the last few years, the total local revenue available to our school district per student lags behind what we see in other local communities. And so, we often have folks in Millbrae who say, well, my friends whose kids go to school in this town have more of this and more of that. Funding is the reason why, and we are one of the answers for how we help to close that gap. And I'm very, very proud to be a part of it, but we also want to make sure that parents especially and others in the community know that there's a gap that we can work together to fill. And with that, I'll hand over to Joy, who will tell us a little bit about what we are hoping to do in the coming year.
Thanks, Maura, and thank you, council members and Honorable Mayor Wanley, again for having us. So our goal for the 2019-2020 school year is $650,000. And just thinking back to what Maura was talking about, that's really to fund the existing programs that we currently have. We also have another goal in mind, which I'll show in the next slide. To date, we're at about 31%, so a little over $200,000. We've got corporate matches coming in. We've got sponsorships coming in. So it's close, but it's not that close. So we need the continued help and support of school community members as well as Millbrae community members to spread the word that we need help and that we're really trying to not only reach $650,000, but surpass that goal. So hopefully for the next two slides, you have your smartphones out or your pens and papers to save several dates. The first is December 3, which is Giving Tuesday. That is a global movement, and it happens after Thanksgiving, after Black Friday, after Cyber Monday. So it's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, again, December 3. And what that is nonprofits all around the world to try to get the word out there to give. And as a community, as a global community, and within your own community, that charitable giving is a good thing. And I think our community gets that. And we really want to focus on one thing for Giving Tuesday, and that is adding instructional aids to each school site. Why is that important? For California, we actually have one of the highest student-teacher ratios in the nation. So just to give you a picture, in the nation we have it's 1 to 15 on average. In Millbrae alone, we've got a ratio of 1 to 27. That's the average. We've got some classrooms where they've got a little bit higher than that, where there's one teacher to about 30 students. So imagine in one day they're teaching several lessons, science, math, art. You could have a child in there that's also an English learner, another child who could be gifted and talented. So one person is doing all of that. What our vision is to have at least one instructional aid per school site. That's just the start. So we hope to have that by 2021. And we need your help. So we're asking Mayor Wanley to the next council to proclaim Giving Tuesday as an official day for Millbrae, to have everyone support this. And this is something that if you're on social media, on Facebook, make sure that you follow us so that you'll see the things that we're doing around Giving Tuesday. And the last thing, this is a huge event, I'd like to say within the peninsula, not just Millbrae, is the MEF Gala. This is the third year that we're having it. So it's just the end of October. Still a good time for everyone to start looking for their suits, for their costumes for this. The theme is the Masquerade Ball, and this event does benefit all Millbrae students. It's a lot of fun. There is a silent auction, a live auction, and again, it's a masquerade ball. Everybody gets to get dolled up and look good, and it's for the students. So the date is 2/29, and it's going to be at the Hilton SFO. So save the date for that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think it'd be a stretch for the council to support a resolution declaring December 3rd Giving Tuesday. And as a gesture, I'd like to also pledge $300 as a match grant for Giving Tuesday. So I'm asking anybody out there, it's an opportunity to donate.
I'll match you, Mayor.
Well, you can throw out a matching grant too.
Go.
That's for other people to match, not you. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have to say that I am biased because I was on the board a long, long time ago, and I've seen it grown, and I'm just very impressed by the work you've done. And I've always, when we first started, we made $76,000, and we were all counting with, but now it's just a phenomenal. So we just hopefully make that $2 million mark in the near future, because I've seen it, and then so I'm really pleased by the amount of effort and energy, and I think that our kids and our city deserves a really good school district, good kids, and they need all the support they can get. So thank you very much. Okay, so on the next item is we have environmental the Climate Awareness Proclamation. Shelley. Do you want me to read the proclamation? Okay. Okay. Hello. Hello. Okay. So it's becoming quite a issue that sea level rise, and many thousands of reports and studies have been written about this. I don't think it's. We feel in the council. I pretty much say our council doesn't feel it's a hoax. We feel that it's a real issue, and the council has supported taking measures to plan for climate change. So the point is that many of our infrastructure, our sewage treatment plant, as well as our downtown and much of our financial institutions could be underwater if we don't plan. So the council has taken the first step by declaring this as Climate Awareness Month. And I'll just read you some of the highlights. So greenhouse gas can cause global temperatures to rise 1.5 degrees Celsius as early as 2030. And the scientists are saying that in 12 years, if we don't take drastic measure, it would be irreversible. Sea level rise will impact and risk larger wildfires and can cause a lot, as we already experience, extreme weather, more rainfall, storms, and heat events. It'll cause more cost in lives as a safety issue for us. It'll also harm our finances, financially, and our infrastructure. And the city has taken many, many steps, including putting EV chargers and solar panels. And so we are also looking at, we appointed the Councilwoman Schneider to the climate, or the county has appointed her to the Climate Action Committee, right? County?
One of the subcommittees now.
Subcommittees. So that enables us to get federal funding. So I think that we all need to pitch in, and I know that a lot of high school students at Mills have actually taken this very seriously and have formed clubs. So I'll let you talk more about it.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Lee, and good evening, members of the City Council. The growing seriousness of climate change has inspired cities around the world to take action, and in some cases to declare a climate emergency, which the County of San Mateo has done. So in support of that effort, we want to further build awareness on climate change, to educate on what the city is doing and actions our community can take to reduce greenhouse gases. The proclamation includes a number of measures we're implementing and will continue, along with completing a climate action plan in line with the general plan. We encourage everyone and appreciate everyone doing their part to reduce their carbon footprint by reducing water and energy use, by taking alternative forms of public transportation, recycling, composting, planting gardens and trees. Every bit makes a difference. And for more ideas, you can go on the city's website under Public Works Sustainable Millbrae, and there's a link to 10 steps to reducing your carbon footprint. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. And we also invite students to come and participate too. And Shelley has a program for that. And it's in all conjunction with the Public Works. I always just thank the director, Ki Lim, for his fantastic support and innovative thoughts about and innovations in terms of fighting climate change and taking the initiative to do this. Thank you, Ki.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Your proclamation left off a couple things that Millbrae did previously. We were the first to ban polystyrene and the first to ban plastic bags in San Mateo County. A whole bunch of firsts for our city moving forward, and the solar on the library and LED lights and everything else. So hopefully we can add to the proclamation next year to include a bunch of other steps we've taken.
Councilman Snyder.
See how well my voice is going to hold out. For any of the public that is interested in this, the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee will be coming forward with actions both the city can do, but mainly actions that we as residents and businesses can do. Community Enhancement Advisory Committee meets on the first Tuesday of the month, so they'll be meeting in November. And we have a couple of new young men on that committee who have actually academic training in this, so it's very exciting. Please, if you've got ideas or you want your kids to be involved, please attend these meetings, and together as a community, we'll get it done.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So I also, do I do this proclamation in Indian November, next month? Okay. Next meeting. Okay. So we have agenda overview.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Lee, members of the City Council, Tom Williams, City Manager. So on the agenda this evening, after this item, agenda overview, we have approval of the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of October 8th, 2019. Item number 4, we have no oral reports from any city committee or commission this evening. After that, we have public communication, and that's opportunity for anybody in the public to speak on any item not on the agenda for 3 minutes. After public communication, we move to the consent calendar. Item number 5 on the consent calendar is to consider approving a response to the San Mateo County Civil Grand Jury on their report entitled Soaring City Pension Cost, following up on the grand jury report of 2017. Item number 6 is to also consider approval by motion the city response to a letter to the San Mateo County Grand Jury regarding their report of electric vehicle adoption in the cities and county of San Mateo. Item number 7 is to consider the second reading of an ordinance amending Millbrae Municipal Code Titles 1 and 9 for the adoption of new definitions in Section 1.15.010, an amendment of the name to Title 9 of the Municipal Code, and adoption of the 2019 California Building Standards Code that include the California Fire Code. Item number 8 is to consider cancellation of the regularly scheduled City Council meeting on December 24th, 2019. Item number 9 is to consider reappointment to the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District Board of Trustees. Item number 10 is to consider a resolution accepting the sanitary sewer and lower lateral as needed repair and replacement project as complete and filing the notice of completion. And item number 11, which the title is adoption of a resolution to form a friendship city relationship with 2 cities in China, but we would like to remove that or pull that item from the agenda, remove it from tonight's agenda so we can bring this to the Sister Cities Commission for further consideration. And then we will bring this back to the City Council the first meeting in November.
I think I have 2 speaker slips. I'm going to allow that the speakers to speak anyway. Is that okay? That might. And we can pull the item. They can talk about it, but we're not going to comment on it.
There are no public hearings this evening, no existing business. We have 2 new business items. Item number 12 is to, and this is an information item this evening, but to consider the selection of a city flag design. And the last item, item 13, is to consider adopting a resolution for an outdoor fitness court and approve the submittal of a full proposal for a community grant from the Peninsula Healthcare District for the fitness court. After new business, then we move to council comments and the meeting adjournment. Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple of items for an update,
Please.
if I may. So the second Millbrae Cultural Arts Advisory Committee art box has been complete, and the location is on Broadway between Starbucks and the Millbrae Post Office. The utility box was painted by Layli El Haliz from Taylor Middle School, so we'd like to publicly thank her for the great job that she did in the utility box painting. So this is the second utility box from the Arts Committee. The first one is out in front of Trader Joe's. So great living spaces. So great job by our young students in the community to add some public art. So go out and take a visit. Also, we started this last year. It's the Millbrae Halloween House Decoration Contest. And so the city of Millbrae is encouraging all residents to create the spookiest Halloween house on the block. Residents can send their pictures of their decorated homes to contest@ci.millbrae.ca by 5 p.m. on October 29th. And then the winners will be chosen on October 30th and receive a $50 gift card donated from local businesses. So again, it's the contest is also on our homepage on our website. So take a look, submit your home. It was a lot of fun last year, and we encourage everyone to decorate their house and participate. The first annual Millbrae Rotary Mayor's Cup Golf Tournament is scheduled for this Thursday. The Rotary Club in Millbrae and the City of Millbrae, we're excited to invite you, City Council, and all the community out to the first ever Rotary Mayor's Millbrae Cup Golf Tournament. Come play, socialize, and help us raise money for the Millbrae Recreation Center and Millbrae Youth programs. The Mayor's Cup will kick off at 10:30 up at Crystal Springs Golf Course. Tee time is at noon, and those that don't play golf, please join us at 5:30 for a dinner event after the golf tournament. We'll have a live auction and a fundraiser that evening. Also, tomorrow night we have a neighborhood meeting regarding the proposed disc golf course on the Millbrae Spur Trail. The meeting will be held here in the City Council chambers and start at 6 p.m. So we encourage anybody that is interested in learning about the disc golf course idea and design to attend that meeting tomorrow night, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. And then there are two Lions Club events. One is at 10 a.m. this Saturday is the Millbrae Monster March, which will be held on the east side parking lot across from Living Spaces on the east side of Broadway in the parking lot there. It'll start at 10 a.m. and it gives Millbrae children and children throughout the area a chance to come celebrate Halloween in a safe environment. We'll have the Sheriff's Office present that will lead the parade, followed by the pink fire engine from Central County Fire. Local businesses will be handing out candy to the kids as they march down the street. So great event. Encourage all the kids to come out 10 a.m. this Saturday morning. And then also on Saturday evening at 7 p.m., the Millbrae Lions Club will be hosting their annual marinated crab feed as a local fundraiser to help raise money for local community activities. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes the announcements this evening.
Any questions for staff? Councilman Pappen?
Would you like to mention your neighborhood meeting that we had this last weekend?
Sure. Yes, we had a very successful neighborhood meeting to share with the neighbors that will be impacted by the Sarah Station project, the TOD2 project on the east side of the existing BART station in the parking lot. It was great participation. I learned a lot. We got tremendous feedback on the concerns of the neighborhood and the residents. We'll be having monthly meetings with them to introduce programs that will not eliminate, but hopefully lessen the impacts of the 2.5, 3 years worth of construction, such as a parking permit program, a key point of contact here at the city in case there are any issues related to noise, dust, anything related to construction.
Councilwoman Snyder?
And City Manager, the city is working on a frequently asked questions document.
Correct.
That will be built on the questions that the public brought up. And if the people have additional questions, they should send their questions to
I have volunteered Elaine Tran, so.
Sorry,
we'll
Elaine. We
we'll
worked
send
that out
something
today, so we're very grateful that you're going to be accepting.
Only because Elaine is so much more diligent than I am when it comes to emails, and she'll make sure that she'll be the clearinghouse and we'll work together on
So
that.
if you're watching.
The point here is one point of contact so everyone knows who actually to send something to so we can review and be responsive.
Elaine, do you want to tell people how to reach you? I only put out your email address.
Yes, my email address is etran, T-R-A-N, @ci.millbrae.ca.us. So etran @ci.millbrae.ca.us.
So for everybody watching and for those of you who like to put questions on Nextdoor, it would be much more effective if you could just please send your questions to Elaine, and she will get the appropriate staff to give the absolute correct answers. Thank you. And thanks, Elaine.
Thank you, Councilwoman Schneider. Councilman Pappen?
And we would like to note that the majority of the council was at the weekend meeting for the residents there, that we did get clearly the message that they are not feeling love from the sheriff's department. They're getting noise already from the garage itself. The circular traffic within the garage is making a lot of noise moving forward, and they are deeply concerned about the construction parking and the parking in their neighborhoods. So it was mentioned about a permit program, and it was also pointed out that the developer has already contributed $10,000 to that. I think this council should be discussing in the near future that the residents should not be paying for the permits in that area. It is an impact caused by the developer, so I hope that we can clear that up so that they are not responsible for that moving forward.
Yeah, and also we need clarifications on the number of parking spaces that are going to be eliminated, because there was 2 numbers that was floated on the examiner, and I think we need to clarify how many spaces are actually going to be we're going to be losing, and also the number of spaces we're going to be losing for construction. Vice Mayor.
And also about whether or not Caltrain commuters can use the garage on the BART side, because that's supposed to be a jointly shared garage.
Councilwoman Aliba.
And with regards to the parking situation in that neighborhood, it seems to be spilling into the other neighborhoods. So I think that we need to come up with a plan not only for, first and foremost, for that neighborhood that is greatly impacted, but there's been a lot of calls that have come my way with it's melding into the entire city of Millbrae. So if we could deal with that as well.
That's not surprising. I think the city manager was recommending we consider a parking district to give us more enforcement issues and be a little bit more nimble in our parking policies, because it takes a lot of effort on our parts to make any significant changes. Councilman Pappen.
Well, the reality is, too, Uber and Lyft drivers are parking, sleeping, just waiting out the shift so they can pick up. It's happening in all of these cities that you are getting people camping out in their cars so they can make money at the airport. So it's an impact I think all this city and many others are feeling.
Can I just add one more comment? And the chief's here. It's not a complaint. It's constructive criticism with regards to. I had a car parked out in front of my house for probably 14 days, and to pick up the phone or to go on the website, it's not user-friendly. So if we could maybe have some way that would be easier, that it didn't take our efforts. What happens, honestly, is the neighbors call me, and they say, can you call? Because we tried to get through. And I experienced it firsthand, and I didn't make it about me. I want to make it that it exists. It's a reality, and I lived it. And if we could, I guess that person went to the airport and came home in the middle of the night because the car was gone the next morning. When I didn't see it one day.
Yeah, I think in this day and age, for us not to have an app.
Yeah.
That allows citizens to lodge any sort of complaints. It's kind of.
I think it'd be easy on all of us.
Yeah, I mean, there's apps out there.
Sides.
There's apps out there that you can just buy off the shelf. We should be able to do that. If not, we have a Facebook. You should be able to send a message on Facebook to our city staff at least.
It's gotten to the point where I don't know if the rest of the council's experiences, but I get videos of what their block looks like in the morning. So I mean, it's a problem.
No, I know. They're using Millbrae's long-term parking.
Yeah.
Anybody, any other comments? Okay, that opened a can of worms. All right. So on to the approval of the minutes.
So, Mayor, just
Yes, sorry.
so the council knows, we're taking note. These items are not on the agenda, so technically we can. So in the future, we'll be placing some of these items on the agenda for further discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On to the approval of the minutes. Okay. Votes, please.
The minutes passed unanimously.
Is that right? Is that what you meant?
Can I?
You want to abstain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, forgot.
You can approve it, I mean, if you think it's okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. No oral reports. We any public comments? Anybody wanting to make a public comment that's not on the agenda? I don't see any. Okay. On to the consent calendar. I have, let's see, we're going to, we're just going to, we're not going to take any action on number 11, which is the Friendship City. And we pull off number 9. Dr. Balom is here, and we welcome him to give us a little update on what's going on in vector control. And let's see, I think I had a question about number 5. So is anybody else? Okay, so we're voting on number 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Items number 6, 7, 8, and 10 on the consent calendar passed unanimously.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make a statement that we talked about looking at the discount rate too. So assuming a lower discount rate, so then we can get ahead of the curve and not be having to try to make up an imaginary number that CalPERS is putting up there, which would help us in our budgeting. So that all has to do with pensions, and I think for this general audience, I think they really shouldn't read the pension issue because it's a weighty item on our budget, hugely weighty item, because you have to spend the cost of pensions, and not to complain, but it's just that the our revenues are having a hard time keeping up with pensions. No, that's okay. Does the finance director have a comment or anything, or? You don't have to. They will put you on the spot.
Actually,
Deanna?
coming up on something else.
Okay.
We have done some studies around potential options for reducing future pension liabilities. We're measuring that in the context of the other unfunded liabilities and infrastructure needs in the city, such as street needs, the recreation center. So we're fortunate in that our increases are pretty stable. Some agencies are just seeing huge peaks, and so they're taking actions. They're calling it chopping off the top. So they're seeing huge peaks and drops. We'll see a little bit of a drop in increases around 25, 26, and then our pension obligation bond is paid off in 2034. So we are continuing to look at it and visit it, but just in the context of the much larger capital plan. We also recently met with the county budget office as we have some pension costs in our sheriff's contract, and because of the large actions they've taken, we may see a decline around 2023 from those pension costs.
Any questions? Vice Mayor?
Have we looked into any further bonds to help reduce the interest rate on the upcoming liabilities?
There's some back and forth about the value of doing a pension obligation bond. It's really kind of an arbitrage. So it's a matter of, do the interest you're paying on those bonds really cover the difference in interest costs with CalPERS? So we have not looked at it recently, again, because we've got some stability. We've got some more of the new PEPRA members than many agencies have. So we've not looked at that in depth. It's just one of those topics that can go one way or another. The more common mechanism right now is called the Section 115 trust, and we do have one for our OPEB obligations, meaning our medical retiree obligations, and we've funded that to a pretty significant level, and again are just looking at other funding in the context of our larger citywide needs.
So what's available in the budget then to be able to put aside in the trust?
At this time, no. We had a very thin operating budget,
right.
And as we bring forward future capital needs, we can look at if you wanted to make recommendations are, you can make a one-time payment or put money into a trust, and we would bring that forward with a full kind of longer range.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve? Item number 5. Thank you. Votes?
Item number 5 passed unanimously.
Okay, the next one is item number 9, reappointment of San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District Board of Trustees, Dr. Mohammed Balom. Dr. Balom, would you like to give us a little update? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Lee and Council members. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and represent the Mosquito and Vector Control District. I have some updates in regard to. I've been with the Mosquito District for the last 4 years, from 2015. When I joined the district, they were having some financial problems. And during these 4 years, we managed to clean up, as I said, the house. And actually, financially, we are so stable that, and our control is good that we received the CAFR certification last year, and we're planning to get it another one here, another one this year. Also, we have our pension funding is fully funded, and our OPEB fund, we have around $2.2 million in it. Meanwhile, we have a health budget. I'm part of the financial committee there, so we have a chance to see every penny that get out from the district, and will be reviewed by 5 members of the financial committee. So as I said, I'm part of that committee. Meanwhile, I have some update in regard for what the Mosquito district doing at Millbrae. From start of this year till now, we have around 47% of the requests in Millbrae were related to mosquito, and 30% were for yellow jackets and wasp nest removal. This year we have an increase in the whole San Mateo County for a wasp and nestation, and the district did a great job in removing a lot of this. In the San Mateo County, there was no West Nile virus incidents, while 30 counties in California, they have West Nile virus detected, and around 158 humans were infected, including 4 fatalities. So we were lucky that our district doing all their way to prevent into mosquito infestation in this county. They will invasive Aedes mosquitoes, which is the one who carry the West Nile virus and Zika virus. They've been moving from south counties to the north. They were discovered this year in Sacramento and Sacramento and Mid-Valley area, and we are working our best to prevent any mosquito invention for this area. Just I want to let the resident know that tick season is going to start this fall, and people Yeah, and residents need to be aware when they go to outdoor, if they get bite by ticks, to be aware and to take the prevention needed for that. This is my update, and again, thank you for the City Council to give me the chance to present the Mosquito District.
Thank you, Dr. Blum. Councilwoman Schneider.
I thank you for being here tonight, and I apologize that I forgot about mosquito control as a subset of disaster preparedness. Mm-hmm. You're going to probably leave, but so you'll miss me talking about we're having our first disaster preparedness workshop or day event on Saturday, November 16th, and it might be too late, but could we get somebody from Vector Control we can give them table space, or if they just want to partner with the city to have materials about how people can make their homes safe from mosquitoes and other vectors.
Yeah, I'll be delighted to let our district, and they have.
Can I give you my card, and let's chat on that?
We'll do
and
that.
For people watching, I know people are always upset about bats or skunks or raccoons, but I was reading in the paper over the weekend that possums are actually immune to the diseases that ticks carry, and they actually like to eat ticks. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those learning how to live with the animals in nature. They can help reduce the tick population. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, and just a reminder that bats are very dangerous, and if you have any contact with them, you should seek a health assistant.
Yeah, they can carry rabies, but they also eat up to 5,000 insects a night. So they're considered a beneficial thing. We just want to be nice to all of our critters, especially since we've lost so many birds.
Yeah, I'm aware. I want to say that. People sometimes see bats and they like to touch them, and sometimes even with their saliva or with their excretion they can't carry the rabies, and usually 50% of them they can cause rabies, and rabies is very deadly, and if you don't catch it within first couple of days, it will be very fatal. Yeah.
So that would be great information to bring on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll make sure that our outreach person will be joining you guys.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Pappen.
Hi, Doctor. My question is that the fruit trees, the inspector's been going around Millbrae now putting traps out. Do we have any reports? Are we finding any unwanted bugs? I think it's more than fruit flies. It's all kinds of things.
It's the one from the mosquito district. Mostly they set traps for mosquitoes and for yellow jackets, but they are different than the one for. I think the other one are from Fish and Wildlife District, and they look for agriculture infestation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Is there a phone number that people can call?
Yes, sure. The mosquito district phone number is 650-344-8592.
Thank you. And then can we make sure that's on our website too for people who have issues?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking to my staff. Is anybody else? Any comments? Thank you, Dr. Balom. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so do I have a motion to reappoint Dr. Balom to the Vector Control? Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Okay, so item 11 is we're not going to take any action, but I have two speaker slips. So since they're here, I'm going to ask them to speak. Adrian Fung. So just go ahead and start whenever you want to. This is just speaking to the microphone so the audience at home can hear you. Thank you.
Dear Mayor and Councilman, my name is Adrian. I'm an 8th grader, and I strongly urge you to support Millbrae becoming a friendship city with a Chinese city. This way, students like myself can take advantage of the cultural exchange program. Every year in the summer, my mom has to take off from work so she can take me and my brother to China to learn about Chinese. Without knowing much about China, my mom spends countless hours doing research to find the right school and program for us. I feel really bad for having my mom do that. I wish that our city would have an educational exchange program which will enable us to learn Chinese traditions. I met some friends in China who would love to come to the U.S. I really wish that our school would be able to create a program that would host the foreign Chinese students to learn about American culture. This would be a good opportunity for both Chinese and American students to learn from each other. A program like this would be extremely beneficial to students and the young generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Very nice.
And yes, you may go to the concert.
Very.
Okay, Alex, me. Your turn. M-E. Maybe you can help him with the mic. Just lower the microphone a little bit. Don't worry.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm in 4th grade. Today I'll talk about why it will be good for us, Millbrae, and the Chinese citizens to have a friendship city. I think it will be really beneficial for the students to learn more Chinese and increase our language skills. It can also help provide more clothes because at Chinese the items and clothes are all really cheap to us, but they don't really have that much money, so we can buy more things and give them more money so they can buy more. I also think it can help us build a stronger relationships and have a better way for finding friends in different areas of the world. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Been very impressive. Okay, on to public hearing. We have none. No existing business. And on to item 12, selection of the city flag design. It's information only. Staff report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Mr. Key Lim, our Public Works Director.
And now flag designer.
Also known as Betsy Ross of Millbrae.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of Millbrae City Council. This is a fun item. So as we all know, Millbrae was incorporated in 1948, to be precise, January 14, 1948. And I've been working here in Millbrae for the last 18 years. So I came to find out we actually have no city flag. So between myself and city manager Tom Welling, we're just floating the idea, why don't we create a flag for the city? Therefore, we came up with a couple design that we'd like to present to you. And we also think that the city flags is a great idea because they could be presented as a gift. We talked about Friendship City previously, and it could be a gift that we give to our Friendship City, sister city in other countries. So first off, we'd like to introduce design option 1, which incorporates the official city seal. Not sure if anyone liked that, but we can move on to option 2.
An idea here, it doesn't show, but the background would be the maroon color that we have for our other logo on this particular flag as an idea.
Since I got no reaction.
It would be white. The letters would be white.
I have comments, but let's see the other one.
So we'll move on to option 2. So option 2, if many of you were on the council several years ago, and this is the marketing logo that we created in around 2014, 2015. So it was more of a branding, identification logo for Millbrae, and a lot of our stationary city sign, wayfinding signage. You see the city under the sun, a place in the sun type of logo, and we even have some sort of asphalt pavement design at the intersection of Hillcrest and Broadway at one point. So this is the second design. So I'm going to bring up another slide. So you can have a comparison side by side. Look, this is like going to the optometrist, A, B, and you keep looking at them and pick the design that you liked. This is not an action item tonight, so we like the council to consider both design, give us some feedback, and then maybe we can bring it back to the council for formal adoption in the near future.
Yeah, and what I'm hoping that we get more citizens an opportunity to see, and we're not. These aren't the only two, but if the citizens have other recommendations, I think we should allow them to have say. Vice Mayor Halber, is that okay? Thank you.
Thank you for these ideas. Just for context, I know the Sister Cities Commission ordered a flag about 1 to 2 years ago, and I know it was on order, I think, for over a year before they actually received it. But thanks to our help with the consulate, Consul General Vela helped to expedite the process, and they do have a flag. I'd be curious to see that flag. Unfortunately, it was unable to be tracked down for the meeting tonight for this discussion. But
Maltese flag, or
no, it's a City of Millbrae flag.
City of Millbrae flag.
Yeah, I believe it has the city seal on it. I think it has a sky blue background, but I could be wrong. I'd be interested to see it before moving forward with one of these designs, just for some context and comparison's sake.
It's interesting that a commission has decided what our flag's going to look like.
Just for the reason why they ordered it, I believe, was for the NorCal Sister Cities meetings that they go to, and other cities had flags. But yeah, I think there probably should have been an official city flag before it was ordered, especially since it took several months, if not a year or more, to receive.
Thank you, Councilwoman Schneider.
So when I read the agenda item, Keith and every staff that worked on it, thank you for working on it. But I went and popped it out to a couple of other members of the community, including the Historical Society and the Sister City Committee, and a couple of the other commissions and longtime Millbrae residents like Tom Dowdy. And Tom got back to me this afternoon saying that, yeah, there was this flag, but he thought it went back 10 or 15 years ago, and that former Mayor Doris Morse might have a copy of it, but there wasn't a chance to find the flag. Then I heard back from, like, for example, Cultural Arts, that we could actually make this a community project and have some fun with it. So not to discourage the effort that you did, everybody loved the idea and thinks that it's a valuable thing, but if we could take a little step back and collect some other ideas on that, and find out if there's one from 15 years ago or one from 2 years ago. But I think your point of being able to use them as part of our going to our friendship cities or our sister cities, or just to have one on our flagpole, goes really well with having a new flag protocol too. So I thank you for the effort.
Thank you.
I'm good. I love it.
So which option you like? Design one or design two?
Councilman Papin.
I like the concept more than anything. The design I can live with, they're all great, and if there is one to exist and we can incorporate, I would be all for that. I think that we should hang a flag and we should hang it proud, and I think it's awesome.
So we were going to do a little background research and try to locate the old Sister City Commission flag. Hopefully we can find one. Any of you past council, former mayors, or any audience watching us at home, if you have any idea, please give me a call. My number is 650-259-2347, or you can email me as well if you know, and we will do our best to track it down and redesign the flag, try to come up with something that you all can be proud of.
To be honest, I'm partial of our seal, so I like the idea of the seal, how it looks ultimately.
Yeah, Councilman Papin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I agree with the concept and would be curious to see what the cultural arts came with. On the seal side there, I think trying to incorporate maybe some gold around the letters of Millbrae, California might look a little more formal. And I think we would, even doing some sort of a gold border around the edge or something, so we look a little more sophisticated, might be
This is
might
what
be
you
of
get when you have a
interest.
city engineer and a not-so-artistic city manager at work here. So.
That's why we're here, to offer you other suggestions. So I think that might liven it up a bit and make it look much more formal.
Great idea. We could we can do some sample and then come up with some gold lettering and borders on the option one, the design one.
Well, I think if we're going
I'm here all year. I do building fronts too, according to whatever comes before the council. Thanks.
Councilman Schneider.
I just was going to say, Supervisor Pine at the Japanese Cultural Festival said that he thinks that our commendations are the prettiest. So between the poppies and the Millbrae Art Deco sign, we've got some big steps to fill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for doing those resolutions.
Oh, well, thank you, Madam Mayor, former Mayor, for approving the idea. Anyway, I kind of like, if you're going to do the seal, maybe make it color, add the color in. I mean, it's easier to see.
Okay.
It's going to be maroon in the back.
Oh, well, regardless. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'd prefer to go with the seal as opposed to the logo. I think the logo is good for banners and swag and promotional materials and things like that. But the flag is more of a formal type of adoption, so I think the seal would be more fitting. Yeah, I would like to see it with the colors sort of transposed before approving anything. One other thing maybe to play with could be having Millbrae as over the top of the seal, and then California down below, like a top and a bottom banner. But yeah, I'm curious to see different designs and different ways to play around with this.
Oh, definitely. We will come up with a couple more design and bring them back to the council.
Okay, one more
review.
time, Councilman Schneider.
This is slightly off track. When we talk about Millbrae not coming into existence in 1948, it sets the stage for people to say, oh, you were here after the airport was built. So I'm going to be coming forward when we talk about items to work with SFO Airport, that we need to make the airport and other communities understand that we existed prior to the airport. So just a little thing with the language there.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Thanks again. And maybe you can spend a little money on having, nothing wrong with the artists, but if we want to get some other ideas, we spend a little money on having a graphic artist take a swipe at it too, since it's going to be on our flagpoles. I'm okay with that.
I think there was a reference that, if the community wants to email anything to us, go ahead. Be curious to see what they can come up with. But I think it is important that we have some sort of a deadline where we actually accomplish this.
Okay.
So as a thought, what, Mayor and City Council, what if we put something up on our website and kind of, have, once we improve upon it, have a vote, and then also have the idea that if anyone comes up with a design, to submit that design to us.
Well, I think if you could do that, then you should just have people give a deadline and when they can submit, and then after that, take a vote. And
okay.
It's kind of
we can do that.
Yeah. And then I have a speaker, so yeah.
Or just I like
Oliva?
the idea of a deadline, as Councilmember Pappen said. We could beat this. You want to say by the end of the year?
No.
What do you want to say?
You want the end of the year? Okay, it's fine. There's no rush. Whatever.
Over holidays, a chance to use it.
Okay, you got your marching order. I have Stephen Green. Stephen. Oops, sorry.
My name is Stephen Green. You've probably heard from me before. Good evening, staff and members of the City Council. It may come as no surprise to you that a trivia nerd such as myself is also interested in flags. First, I want to say thank you to staff for identifying the creation of a city flag as an uplifting and helpful thing for the city to work on. I saw the proposed flag designs and felt compelled to make my case for a more extensive selection process. Some of you may be familiar with a very popular public radio show and podcast produced in Oakland called 99% Invisible. Each week, the host, Rowan Mars, discusses a small piece of design that you may not have ever thought about. He's talked about things like airport carpets, the design on your money, cell phone ringtones, and flags. The flag episode, which he later presented as a TED Talk, was inspired by the design of the flag of San Francisco and how bad it is. If you can't call it to mind, it's probably because it's never displayed very proudly, Unlike, say, the flag of Chicago, which is regarded as well-designed and emblazoned all over the city. If you've ever visited, it's the 5 red stars and 2 blue stripes. To continue, in the course of his research, he found the North American Vexillological, aka Flag Research, Association's pamphlet called Good Flag, Bad Flag, where they succinctly lay out 5 principles for good flag design. To summarize, they are keep it simple. The flag should be so simple that a child can draw it from memory. It should be recognizable from afar or when it hangs flat on a calm day. Use meaningful symbolism. The flag's images, colors, or patterns should relate to what it symbolizes. Use 2 or 3 basic colors. Limit the number of colors on the flag to 3, which contrast well and come from the standard color set. No lettering or seals. Never use writing of any kind or an organization's seal. The designs of seals and logos serve different purposes than the designs of flags. Be distinctive or be related. Avoid duplicating other flags, but use similarities to show connections. Now, you can put as much stock or as little in these guidelines as you like. Aesthetics are, of course, subjective. But while we have this opportunity, I'd encourage us to be bold and create something memorable. Our sister cities, for example, have beautiful and memorable flags. The flag of Mosta and Hanyu in particular should serve as inspiration to pursue such striking and memorable designs. I'm no artist myself, but I imagine there are plenty of Millbrae residents who are. I would suggest we have an open design competition to truly take advantage of the creativity of our residents and design a flag which we can be proud of, which you've already identified as a path forward. So thank you for the time, and apologies to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Yep.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, we have celebrity talk first. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Two of the biggest mistakes.
All right.
So if I may suggest something, we will most likely do a social media type of polling and have people submit idea to us. I think end of this year is very workable, and we try to bring something back to the council in the early part of next year. And we'll finalize the selection process down to something manageable, no more than a few of those design, so that council can review them. And just for full disclosure purposes, I'm a licensed engineer, not graphic designer.
And I'll say that, just remember that 100 years from now, when citizens of Millbrae look at the flag, remember in 2019, they'll go, wow, that looks great.
The City Art Show is the last weekend in March.
Okay, we'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, and staff, and the city manager for all the sweat and tears. Sorry. Okay, on to number 13, resolution for outdoor fitness court, and approval of submittal of full proposal for community grant from the Peninsula Healthcare District.
I'd like to introduce Mackenzie Brady, our Recreation Director.
Thank you.
What? Yeah.
You want to go test it right now? Okay. It does work. All right. Cool.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Mackenzie Brady, Recreation Director. Wanted to talk to you about a fitness court. You might be wondering, what is a fitness court? I'm out of order here. I'm going to show you a video of what a fitness court is.
Running away.
There we go.
We're changing the way America thinks about fitness. With 200 fitness courts open, our campaign is growing. From college campuses to city parks and trails, we're bringing free fitness everywhere, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm Mitch Menadget, founder of the National Fitness Campaign. National Fitness Campaign was founded in 1979 when we opened the first fitness court. Redesigned for the 21st century, the fitness court is the world's best outdoor gym. Our 7-movement, 7-minute system allows you to use your own body weight to get the perfect workout. easy or hard, it will work for you. Our goal is to build healthy communities by making outdoor fitness an essential part of people's lives so that each day is better than the last. This year, 2,000 certified ambassadors will be trained to deliver classes, challenges, and clinics as part of our national fitness campaign. We'll also be hosting training camps on college campuses across America. The Fitness Court mobile app is your gateway to enroll in these programs, learn the moves, and take challenges as we dig deep to create impact for our partners across America. NFC partners and sponsors are providing $30,000 grants to 250 qualified cities and colleges in 2020. National Fitness Campaign is a social enterprise, and I take no salary. So all the money we raise goes directly to building fitness courts across America. We're proud to have helped cities of all sizes raise millions of dollars from respected sponsors to support free fitness. Wherever fitness is a priority, you can find a fitness court. Building beyond 200 cities and colleges, we're now partnering with large cities using urban movement data to map the best locations for pedestrian infrastructure. We're bringing fitness courts to within 10 minutes of population centers everywhere. We're now committed to raise $150 million to bring the campaign to 1,000 cities and schools by 2021, building the largest fitness movement in the world. Join us and let's make world-class fitness free.
Did anybody recognize one of those fitness courts there? What was it?
Marina Green.
Yes. All right, so going back to the... Yes, he was the one working out. All right, so taking it back to the timeline here, about 2 years ago, the National Fitness Campaign reached out to the city of Millbrae to see if we wanted to apply for a grant to move forward on a fitness court, and it just wasn't the right time then. They reached out again in September last month, and staff applied for the grant and wrote a letter of intent to the Peninsula Healthcare District for a community grant in the amount of $50,000. Just this month, the staff was notified of acceptance for the 2020 National Fitness Campaign, so that's an amount of $30,000 for a grant. There's absolutely no commitment if we do not raise the funds for this, or if this does not move forward, so we're not committed to anything right now. And also acceptance to write the full proposal for the Peninsula Healthcare District community grant as well, in that amount of $50,000. This idea was taken to Parks and Recreation Commission just this month, and they approved the idea to move forward. November 1st, just coming up here soon, is when the full proposal for the Peninsula Healthcare District community grant is due, and the awards are determined in December. And if you remember from the last council meeting, we brought forth the Prop 68 per capita grant applications, how they are due in January. The allocations have not been determined yet, but there will be at least a $200,000 amount. So just keep that in your mind as we move forward through this presentation. And if we were to move forward on this project, it would be
they want to expand it. They want you to expand the presentation so they can see it. They want you to expand the presentation full screen.
Can I do that?
So let's go to slideshow. There you go.
Yes. All right. And if we were to move forward on this project, it would be a Q4 2020 installation. So as we discussed, I showed you the video for a fitness court. It's 32 by 35 feet outdoor bodyweight circuit training system. And it's 7-station circuit. It's all using your body weight, so folks of all ages can use it. What's great is this this location is close to the Magnolia of Millbrae, is close to the Truesdale, close to Mills High School, and right along the Spur Trail, which is a great thoroughfare for access for the entire community. This is just more about a fitness court and the different elements that are throughout. The site location, we were looking at locating this adjacent to the skate park. So as you can see, the walkway there to the east is the skate park, and then to the west is a large swath of land, which could house the fitness court right there. One of those fitness elements in a tree would have to be relocated. As you saw in the video, the benefits are free fitness for the community, greater health outcomes as well, being able to discourage vandalism or any possible questionable activities along the spur trail, being able to offer more recreational activities with the department since we do not have the community center, the recreation center. Folks are able to use an app and to challenge each other through the app, record themselves, record different aspects of it, get different workouts through the app, and follow along on that. And as I mentioned, functional fitness for seniors as well. So the total cost for this facility is about $130,000, and that does not include the concrete slab or the staff time for the install. So with the National Fitness Campaign granting the $30,000, that leaves $100,000 to raise, and the match from the city would be the concrete slab, the 38 by 38 foot concrete slab, and the amount of $20,000 plus the cost of staff time to do the install. And so all of that equates to about $45,000, and that was a sufficient match for them. So with an additional $100,000 to fund, if we were to move forward on the Peninsula Healthcare District Community Grant, that would be $50,000 if we were to receive that. So just funding an additional $50,000, which could be done through other community partners and organizations, or potentially funding with allocation from the per capita grant. So as I mentioned, we have at least $200,000 with that allocated, so that would leave an additional $150,000. So next steps is for staff recommending the City Council to adopt a resolution authorizing the city to move forward to procure funding via grants with community organizations or through the per capita funding, and also moving forward on the submittal of the full proposal for the Peninsula Healthcare District Grant. Do y'all have any questions?
Councilman Oliva.
I mean, I think it's awesome. It's great, and I think that it's doable for sure. I just wonder why the location was chosen there and not like in Central Park.
Leaving Central Park open for other amenities. That location next to the skate park has the bathrooms right there. There's water. It's accessible. It would bring more traffic along the spur trail as well to help with potential vandalism at the skate park. So just providing more eyes and presence.
Councilwoman Snyder.
Yeah, that was mentioned at this Parks and Rec Commission meeting last week, and there was, I think, one commissioner suggested, well, maybe Central Park would be a better location. I think, and part of the response to that was, depending on the future realignment of the parking areas at Central Park, there might not be a lot of space to put it if you want to preserve the open space in the grassy area, especially with the community garden now in the upper area. There isn't a ton of free space. I think potentially it sounds like this equipment could be moved at some point. You'd have to redo the concrete slab, but that's not a ton of money. I think, with the spur trail, I think that's a good location because people can walk there, or jog there, or bike there. At some point, though, between, the skate park and the this fitness court, and if we're going to do disc golf, I think at some point we have to maintain at least some of the tranquility that that currently exists, open space, and sort of passive recreation, as opposed to kind of cramming things into little corners. But I think in terms of the part of the reason why the Peninsula Healthcare District was interested was in this location because it's close to where their senior housing is. And can you go back over the $200,000 per capita grant?
Yes, so Prop 68 I believe the state in May sent out surveys to all eligible communities, districts, counties to fill out if they wanted to participate in the per capita allocation. And so we sent back the questionnaire, and so we will be receiving at least $200,000 with that allocation. Allocations have not been completely determined yet. They were supposed to be sent out back in September, but we're still waiting on those.
Okay. And that is different from the grant that was applied to for the Recreation Center?
Correct, yes. We'll be hearing about that in December.
We applied for up to $8 million?
$8.5 million.
$8.5 million, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would like, if we do receive that $200,000 or hopefully more, to be able to reserve that for some of our existing priorities that we already had in the CIP.
From what I understand, the per capita funding, it cannot be used for current CIP projects. It needs to be put towards new projects.
New projects, okay. Okay. But I think, I would encourage you to continue to look for other community partners. I think the Magnolia of Millbrae could be a potential funding partner. They've been very active and have helped for a number of community events. South San Francisco Scavenger has been very generous in sponsoring many of our events and many of our programs, so I'd certainly reach out to them. And as well as our service clubs, Lions, and the Rotary. Thank you.
Councilwoman Snyder.
Thank you. The staff report talked about a piece of public art or public art opportunity. What were you referring to?
Yes. So the fitness court itself, the large blue swath area, so the major donor would be able to, the design would be done by the National Fitness Campaign, and they would put together the logo, so it would be a large piece of public art.
As a logo, so
it's not just a logo. I can find a...
So instead of just that solid sheet of blue, it might be something else.
So it would be on the back side.
Ah, okay. I was intrigued by that. And I share Vice Mayor Holliber's concern about putting too much on the spur, except that section right there is really the only section that's flat. A major portion or most of the spur is actually hilly, which doesn't align itself for a dog park or this type of activity. Could work for the disc golf. The hill shouldn't make a difference, but if we're only 3.1 square miles, it doesn't give us a lot of room. So I like the idea. I will tell you, it was in my council comments, having gone to my first League of California Cities. A number of the city award winners this year were doing fitness programs of various types and turning this one. So, Mackenzie, I have a gift for you. The city of Fontana challenged its residents to a 2 billion step activity over a year. Their citizens achieved 2 billion steps in 8 months. So they've now gone to 3 billion more. But they had this whole program to get their community out walking together. And the Spur property is such a great opportunity to get out walking. So for you and your staff, they gave everybody a T-shirt. They gave them this exercise rope that's in here. And something I hope that Park and Rec will look at is a really cool trail map that we don't quite have yet. All kinds of really interesting things. I know this isn't quite the topic, but musical park equipment, which I really like. I don't work in Park and Rec anymore, so I never get to see this stuff. So anyway, present for you. I like the idea. Go forth, but I like the ideas of other partners for that.
And just to be clear, council members, it would be a matter of as a last resort, so going out to other community organizations and grants and seeing.
Vice Mayor has a quick comment, and then Councilwoman Pappen.
Sorry, and I believe at the last meeting you mentioned that the PCBA was interested in perhaps contributing as well, or at least the conversations began.
Correct. I need to reach out to them about that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pappen.
Nice job. I appreciate the reasoning for the proposed location. I think that makes sense. Given the loss of our recreation center, I do think projects like this are very important as gathering places for our community and keeping people engaged in the community. The competitive app sounds interesting. I know a lot of people are competitive out there as it relates to this, so I like this idea, and I really do appreciate all the efforts the staff has made towards getting grants and bringing in new money to the city of Millbrae for just such projects. So my compliments to you and your staff. You've done a spectacular job. The movie screen, the stage, all kinds of things. So thank you very much. I appreciate and think we should go forth with this.
Thank you.
Okay, and I also think this, I saw a lot of people using it at the Marina Green, so I think it's very intriguing. I do think it should be in a visible place where people can see it, and people might be inspired when they see it. That's how my first impression when I saw it, that was really cool, and I would love to work out in that location. I think if we put in Central Park, it'd be kind of hidden. And also, I kind of like to see some separation from the adults and the kids who play in the playground. So that's why another reason why I like to have it on Spur Trail. Just as a parent, it just seems a little bit more. I mean, they have different needs, so it makes more sense to separate. Other than that, I also support the project.
This is going to be our next American Ninja.
Well, yeah, you can start. Actually, I wouldn't put it past McKinsey to put up something. Okay, but I need a motion, and then. Is there any public comment, by the way? No public comment. Oh, we have one public comment. Yes, Mr. Balloon.
Yeah.
You have to go to the mic so that everybody at home can hear your beautiful voice.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm totally agree with the proposal. My thing is that for me, as a resident who reside into the north and side of Millbrae, that all this activity and facilities that are available are mostly beyond Millbrae Avenue, and this is almost for us like with the traffic more than 15-minute drive, and Central Park or even something around downtown would be very easily accessible for everybody in Millbrae. So that I would like you guys to reconsider the location, maybe try at least to give more ideas about other possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balloon. Okay, so we have a first and second on your votes, please.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I think that was an excellent comment that we do need to look at recreational amenities in different parks around the city. I know, for example, two of the parks that are in the worst condition are Bayside Manor and Reina Vista, that were identified in the Parks Master Plan as needing a lot of work. So, potentially, Green Hills Park could be. There at one point was a horseshoe or a bocce court there. I believe at Green Hills Park, I think there's a horseshoe court there, yeah. So, I mean, that could be a potential site for some future, recreation. And it's a huge project, but connecting the Spur Trail to Untitled Sierra Park, I think, could be a priority going forward, but that's not for now to discuss. But just something to keep in mind.
We agree, and we've thought about it. I mean, one of the areas we may want to look at is Bill Mitchell Lion Park. There's a lot of space between Tioga and Helen Drive, so it's something that we can take a look at as well and see if there's potential as a possible location there as well. But yeah, we've thought the same thing, that we need to balance things out in the community.
I would agree, and I don't know how, if we ever get negotiations going with Meadows Tool, that opens up a new opportunity up for our most northern western section too, and also a way to bring in Untitled Sierra Park. It's a county park, but it fits right into two of our neighborhoods.
And if I may, if you look behind me, this is the best image I can get of the fitness court right there. So you can see all the different potential designs, and that design would be brought back to you all as well.
Oh, you trust us with that?
Keelan and I would be happy to design.
They're not allowed.
We're going to have to pay you more. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's move on to council comments. Can we? Oh, I thought we voted. Oh, we didn't. Okay.
Item 13 passed unanimously.
I'm so excited about this project. Okay, thank you. All right, council comments. Councilwoman Oliva.
Okay, I'll make one comment from the last meeting that we had. We had a senior advisory committee meeting, and we were invited to Cadence of Millbrae, and they hosted the senior advisory committee and had breakfast for everybody. Beautiful buffet, very welcoming, and they are in the midst of a complete remodel. So they've already started a lot of the rooms, and now they're going to start with the common areas as well. And very engaged and wanting to participate in the city and be involved, and it was I appreciated it very much. So it was a great meeting.
Councilman, if I may, I did receive your email on the possible shuttle partnership that they had offered.
So they are. Should I elaborate a little bit on that? They are actually they have a shuttle that they have for their residents, and with regard to new developments that are going on with the parking being an issue of the neighborhoods, obviously on Aviador that we heard over the weekend, I had requested that we might partner with a shuttle with them to see how it could work out, and not just particularly for the residents of Cadence, and not, but I mean, we're 2.5 by 2.5 miles. If we can, participate with some sort of partnership in a shuttle that could bring our residents to the BART and around town, so we can get that last mile to people that want to take BART and not have to park there all day.
Okay, Councilman Pappen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy birthday to George Habib. I think just turned 102 on Friday. So one of our longtime residents. Good to see him out at the Man and Woman of the Year, which was a wonderful celebration for everyone. Tomorrow's Metropolitan Transportation Commission meeting is going to include an inclusory fare study to try to get all the transit agencies together so that actually paying for one ticket may lead to access to others, because people taking public transportation usually have to take more than one mode to get to their location. So that is long overdue, and we're looking forward to that one. I'm asking, and I hope that the city manager's comments at the beginning of every meeting are posted, because he covers a lot of things like the Halloween decorating competition and all of that. So in order that we don't repeat these things, I hope those can get posted. And to point out to the public that there's been a lot of press regarding the parking spaces at BART. Just for reference, this city council only approved the loss of 500 parking spaces and no more. So the city is, I think, looking at what BART is proposing and has no permission to do. And we're hoping that we will be successful in preventing the loss of any further parking spaces. I'd like to thank the council. I think you closed in memory of Victor Kiriakis, who was a longtime Millbrae resident and former mayor of Daly City. I think that happened last time, but I missed it. He was a dear friend.
Could I ask, backing up, can we ask with the MTC meeting why they are building parking spaces at the other terminus?
Oh, believe me, I am. Mr.
And why
Mayor.
Why are they eliminating our parking spaces?
Yes, that is definitely being expressed by me. Thank you.
Councilman Schneider.
Okay. At the last Airport Noise Roundtable, for the first time, they brought a scientist from the Federal Aviation Administration. This is the group that works with certification of engines. And so there was a long discussion of what goes into an engine certification and the types of noise. And it looks like the noise that most affects Millbrae is easy to not worry about, because they can worry about and reduce other noises. So that was interesting. He also then bridged the gap. The roundtable can only talk about noise. It can't talk about air pollution. So it can't talk about nitrogen oxides or sulfur oxides or particulates. However, residents have been contacting me that they're seeing more dust, more particulate matter, especially after the runways have moved closer to Millbrae. So this timed really nicely with the fact that the FAA scientist was there, and he talked about, and I'm sure the mayor is very well equipped to talk, the various levels of particulates. The size means how deep it goes down into your lungs, but they are now looking at what's called a 0.10 micron particulate size. Again, we still can't talk about particulates, but there is an opening on the air board for a city representative from San Mateo County. I've applied for that. I don't think I'll get it, but if I'm there, then I can keep pushing for the fact that we're getting more particulate pollution in San Mateo County, and we need to be speaking up for ourselves. The Japan Sister City trip is coming up, and for the public, I'm the council person going on this trip. We are paying our own way. The city is not paying its way. But I want to say thank you to Elena and Elaine and everyone else who has been working on the gifts. We're meeting with our friendship city, Hanyu, for their 65th birthday. We leave on the 7th of July, and we come back on the 12th. And as I was told last night, there'll be... I'm sorry, cold. November, it's in a couple of weeks, November 7th to November 12th. Sorry about that. The Hanyu Lions will be there. The Hanyu Rotarian will be there. So we're getting our various Millbrae community groups to also be part of the exchange of items on that. And the disaster preparation meeting, we didn't have the chief give an update, but we have a meeting tomorrow at 1:30 at the Recreation Center. This is getting really close to being our final planning meeting. I think tomorrow's meeting will be talking about which groups we want tabling and what materials they will have. But I will tell you that the fire department's already been here, but they're going to include a document about how you can make your house safe from fires based on what your kids and animals can get into. You can have your ready, set, go plan for your house, and then a checklist for how you can get your house ready for fires. Now, fires can also come from earthquakes. So right now I'm looking for the earthquake retrofit information and what you can do to any things we may have in the city for how to bolt your tall furniture to the walls, things like that. So the intent of the disaster preparedness is you can come and get a Stop the Bleed class. You can go learn how to set up your Go kit. You can pick up information about how to make your house safe from earthquakes and fires. We'll have the pink fire engine. We're going to have an earthquake platform, and we're still working on it, but we're going to have the EV testing cars. It'll be a 2-mile course to drive an all-electric vehicle. Thank you to Peninsula Clean Energy, so we're working on that. So it's going to have a theme of disaster preparedness, but also all of the activities you can do to reduce our impact on climate change. So reduce our energy consumption or absorb carbon. And hopefully we'll have Park and Rec have the latest trail plans at there. So you can learn about the new green striping. I know there's been some complaints on Nextdoor about now that we've got the green bike lanes, people are complaining because it says that bicyclists can now drive in the road. So we need to help you understand what that means and how that's better safety for everybody, better visibility for everyone. So we'll have all of that there. Please, November 16th, 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock at the Millbrae Library parking lot. All of the equipment will be there, rain or shine. If it rains, we'll move some of the functions into the library meeting rooms and into the recreation center. But we have a list of courses and materials. Please come on down. And with that, I attended my first League of California Cities conference. I think it's what gave me my cold. I did attend a number of things, including the town manager from Paradise who talked about recovery from disaster and learned some interesting things that we'll begin to incorporate into our evacuation plans and into our insurance plans. Also, there was a section on how you can achieve climate action goals but not break the budget. And they used the city of Oakland as an example, who has converted their heavy fleet vehicles over to renewable diesel. This has always made me a little bit nervous, but renewable diesel as opposed to biodiesel, there's a difference. I have materials for staff on that. And then I went to a funding and transportation meeting and afterwards spent an hour with the National League of Cities lobbyist on transportation issues. So she's very interested in working with the city of Millbrae on FAA-related actions and SFO actions. So made some great connections for the city there. Finally, in closing, at the end of the Japanese festival, we found a hearing aid. No one's contacted the city that I'm aware of, but I'm turning the hearing aid over. My dad used these. These are about $5,000 a piece. So when you lose this is a big deal. But I also know that we have a number of people without housing that may be around the museum, and this may belong there. but want to make sure that we get that. And I'm sorry, one more thing. Mayor Lisa from East Palo Alto works for a program that that works on tuition programs for city employees who have a full-time job and may want to be working on their degrees. So, City Manager, this is my present to you and to Angela about a program that started here locally to help our employees get their degrees. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, thank you. Vice Mayor Holliburton.
Okay. I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting last week, and there was the discussion about the fitness court, which we just saw, as well as a discussion about the commission's work plan and how to better coordinate with the projects going on at the various park facilities. I also attended the CCAG meeting as Councilmember Pappin's alternate. There was a discussion about the regional housing needs allocation and the process for the next cycle, which I believe begins in 2023. And a discussion about whether or not to form a sub-region for San Mateo County. Ultimately, the board decided not to go in the direction of a sub-region. One of the reasons being because the county of San Mateo would need to be a participant, and they seemed disinclined to join. And it would be difficult to kind of explain to ABAG why there's a sub-region made up of a dozen cities in San Mateo County and not have 100% participation and not have the county involved. Also, in terms of the benefits, it seemed to not, the costs in terms of the timing needed and the staff time needed seemed to outweigh the benefits. It's likely that each city will get a significant housing number that's needed. They said expect about they don't know for sure, but they think about a 50% up to a 200% increase from the current funding cycle, so the current housing cycle. The current cycle for Millbrae is, I believe, 663 units. So the next cycle will likely be somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 units if these projections are correct. So 1 to 2,000 units. We don't know.
That's a huge
Yes, it is, but regardless, it's likely to be bigger, significantly larger than the current cycle. And I guess one of the benefits with a subregion is that different cities can trade. Like, for example, if one is going to meet, the low income requirement, but not the, very low income or whatever, you can trade. But it sounds like it's going to be, very high to the point where nobody's going to be able to meet anything for that matter, and nobody's really going to have any incentives to trade. So they're still going to be working. A group called 21 Elements is going to be working with each of the cities and the county to help make sure that, to help work on the housing elements and make sure that the housing elements are able to comply or at least assist each city in getting to meet its housing allocation or be in a position to meet its housing allocation. And with that, I think that's all I have.
When will they have the numbers?
It's going to take probably about 2 years, I would think. It'll go to ABAG, and then ABAG will give numbers, it sounds like, to each city. And, at first I was thinking, well, and I know, Councilman Wright, you may have had a more background on this from previous meetings. I was thinking that a subregion may be able to have some negotiating ability, but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like you're kind of given your number and you're stuck with it.
Yeah, some of the bigger cities were not interested at all. Redwood City, San Mateo, the ones that have done a lot of the big building. And it's really, the benefit may be that we can appeal our own number by telling them what our limitations are, whereas previously you were kind of all lumped together and you just were, a number was thrown at you. So if we are given a number, we can then try to appeal it if we feel that's necessary by showing them the building that we've done. There always seems to be a question as to what number they start at, and will they count our 800? Well, I guess they're not going to count our 800 users because that was in the last RENA numbers.
We should get some type of a credit if we exceed our previous numbers, I would think.
No credits. And actually, there's the question is the penalties being imposed by the state legislature if you do not comply. So those may be very, very harsh numbers penalizing cities thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Is there a way to be proactive?
We're trying.
What, in which way?
I think that's a bigger discussion that we're all going to need to have as a council, because it's difficult to understand all the nuances of what they are trying to propose here. Certain legislations being proposed. We are building here. We've had 10, 15, 20% affordable, but then there's the different levels of low income, medium income, those numbers that a lot of jurisdictions are not accommodating. And then certain legislation where we're doing the alternative dwelling units, we'd like to count those as well. And so there are a lot of moving pieces right now. We are trying as a city, and I think our residents know, really trying our best to provide additional housing, and we will continue to do so.
I just have a problem with ADUs being proactive. I mean, that's like, it's very effective and it's immediate, but it's not something that
It's not going to make a large dent into the.
No.
So, but Millbrae has upzoned in various areas, and we should receive credit for that.
Is there a way we could get a 21 element to like maybe make a presentation to us so we can understand before we get into this up to our necks?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that this sounds like it warrants a study session with the council. So I'll work with our community development director and get that scheduled probably the first of the year.
And could you include on that study session with the ADUs that we discussed at our last meeting with regards to property taxes? Is there going to be if there's going to be some sort of formulation to by square footage, because how are we going to put value to any of these things, and how people's property taxes are going to be impacted? I
think there's a partial reassessment, but not a.
I know, but it's property taxes are by value, so I would
based on the construction cost.
Yeah, so I would like to see how they're going to assess. Are they going to be? Is it going to be a standard assessment, or is there going to be a appraisal to all of this?
Just my experience with the house addition is they took into account the cost spent for the house addition and then factored that into what the value of the property was after that.
So we should have a little study session on that too, please.
So it would add to the city's tax
costs.
base.
I mean.
I just want to make one comment. I know we jump a lot into the RENA debate. I'm not sure for the average citizens they understand exactly what that means. It's a statewide program to require cities to zone a sufficient amount of parcels that would allow the development of a certain number of housing units. And then that's reported in our housing element. The city doesn't have to build them. We're not required to do that. But in order to comply with the law, you have to show you have to have sufficient number of properties that could be built for those units. And that's somewhat of a challenge. If we're going to get a significant increase in the obligation, then we're going to have to maybe do some rezoning of parcels around the city in order to comply with it. And that's sort of a mandatory requirement. Then there's also, as housing units are built, if housing units are actually built, which means the private sector builds them generally, then certain other statutes that give preferences to developers don't apply. So there's really two things going on, but it's basically an obligation of the city to make sure that there's sufficient land available to build the housing units that the state feels we should build.
So if we do ADUs for every single family home, if we allow for every single family home to have an ADU in the city of Millbrae, does that count for a RENA number?
I think it might. By the way, all the ADU bills passed.
Right, so each one of, I mean, how many, I don't know how many single family homes.
I think we should get back to you on the study, so I'm not 100% sure, but.
Councilwoman Snyder?
I would only add to what our city attorney said, that the stick that the state is saying is, or they haven't approved it yet, but if we don't do the actual building, then we lose transportation dollars.
Right, I think that's...
Which is what repairs our roads or does anything else like that. So they're trying for those sticks, too, that we're responsible for.
Yeah, again, we should get into this in more detail, but it's more like if we turn down projects. So, again, we don't have the money to build, but as was mentioned, zoning. So we look forward to discussing this in the future.
City Manager, if we do that study session, can we do some basics at the beginning that can help our population understand that it isn't just, hey, council wants to do X, Y, Z, we have greater responsibilities?
Yes, absolutely. We will. I think that's important.
Anything else, Vice Mayor? Okay. You had something else?
I'm sorry, I had a few more. The 43rd Annual NorCal Sister Cities Conference is coming up in 2 weeks. I know Commissioner Kimura said she's going. They're having a protocol on how to protocol for visits to Japan. But if anyone is interested, Kathleen said she'd love to have more council members attend that. The City Manager and Chief Kunkel, we haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I got home today and my mom, we have oxygen at the house, and she goes, oh, I've heard that they're turning power off again in San Mateo. Not starting any rumors. That is not happening. But one of the things that we need to be identifying that we have talked about in the preparation meeting is for residents that use medical devices that require electricity, the need to identify them, or instructions on where they should go if we are part of a long-term electricity shutdown. So today my mom goes, oh, okay, if I needed my oxygen and it isn't there, do I go to City Hall? And I go, you know, Mom, I don't know. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that tomorrow and get prepared if they have any more of these power shutdowns, since they're being discussed again. But hopefully, if you or a family member uses medical device, we are working on a process where you can make sure that the city knows, so that we know to reach out to your household if you need help in the event of a disaster. And that'll be a plan coming to council again in the future. Thank you.
And if I may piggyback on that.
Oh, and one last. Piggyback.
Yeah, let me piggyback real quick. Also, that's where neighborhood watch programs come in very effectively. If your neighbors know that you're going to need medical assistance, then that would be very helpful to you. And I'm sure your neighbors would be would like to help you out too. So get to know your neighbors.
And we will have a neighborhood watch booth at the disaster preparedness plan, because that's part of the plan too, to get more neighbors looking out after neighbors. Speaking of life and death, the Methodist Church on 450 Chadbourne is hosting a free film on life and death on Mount Hood, and it involved CERT members who went up to help people who got trapped in a crevasse up on Mount Hood, and it is free. It's at 7 p.m. Methodist Church this coming Saturday, 450 Chadbourne. This church has been a really good partner to Millbrae after the burning of the rec center and hosting events there. So thank you for them for offering this free film.
Okay, so as Councilwoman Schneider mentioned, that the League of California Cities is basically a conference for city officials, council members, mayors, city managers, fire chiefs, et cetera, city attorneys. And it's a great opportunity to find out what's going on with other cities around the state. And they talked about a variety of issues, including particularly social media and the pitfalls, including Brown Act violations, and also did you know that if you talk about anything political on your social media, you have to allow anybody who wants to be your friend, you have to allow them in, because it's kind of like an open forum. So if you're going to use your Facebook and you're going to talk about anything that's slightly on agenda, or it can be construed as being on agenda, then you have to allow anybody who wants to be your friend on your social media. So that was very interesting. So so you might want to separate your social media. Yeah, and I could tell you that could be kind of scary. So they also talked about cannabis. They talked about gender equality, LGBT legislation, how the cities manage that, child care. And we didn't get the Beacon Award this year, but I'm hoping next year we've gotten them in the past. And the Beacon Awards is basically awards for environmental stewardshipness. And I'm hoping that we can continue our show. And we do some great stuff here. And I noticed that a lot of recognition to other cities, including Burlingame and San Carlos. Congratulations to them, and Brisbane. We've done a lot of that stuff ourselves, and I think that we should highlight including installation of our EV Go stations and other things we've been doing around the cities, little things that all add up. Okay, and then there's also been a lot of discussion about sewer and water rates, and I think it's time that we do some sort of informational update, and either have them at a council meeting or have it at a community meeting, whatever makes sense. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and water rates and sewer rates will go up because of the cost of maintaining a system, and then let people know we do subsidize with the general fund for some of these rates. So you think it's expensive. If it wasn't for some of the subsidies we put in there, maybe more. Again, reminder, this Saturday, Monster March at 10 o'clock at I think they're going to be at the Living Spaces and the Millbrae Lions Crab Feed. And the Millbrae Education Foundation Gala, February 29th, again. And let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it. I think everybody did a great job. Thank you. Oh yeah, the Rotarians also do a carnival too. I can't remember what day.
On the Sunday after the Lions.
Okay, so it must be the Sunday after the Lions. But I would go to the Rotarians website, and they have a Halloween event too. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
Mr. Mayor, I believe it is this Sunday, correct?
It's this Sunday. Okay, at Rotary Park. And usually about 11 o'clock or something like that? 11 to 1. Okay, so we'll see you there. And also, I thank all our staff. The Vice Mayor is hosting Staff Appreciation Day on Halloween Day, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sorry I'm going to miss it, but their costume's always better than mine. So, well, last year I went as a storm drain. They didn't like. All right. Okay. So, thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.